Welcome back to Stationeers. We're on the moon, and it is about midday on day 3. So far we set up the auto lathe, the arc furnace, and the hydraulic pipe bender. We also set up an airlock and a pressurized room. However, I do have a pressing problem. I only have about 2 megapascals of oxygen left in my suit, and I don't have a spare oxygen tank to refill from. So the absolute next priority that I'm facing is to get source of oxygen. To do that, I'm going to build an ice crusher and use that to crush some oxide into a tank of oxygen. So let's get started with that. Of course, before anything else, I'm going to realign the solar panel so that we can keep charging our meager batteries. I will need to eject the iron from the auto lathe. Plug that into my hydraulic pipe bender along with some copper and some gold. I need one ice crusher. I need one ice crusher, one or preferably 2 or 3 pipe utility kits, at least 2 pieces of pipe, ideally a pressure regulator, and a spare canister. Okay, let's start piping this up.
Power low.
Quick adjustment to the solar panel. There we go, the pressure regulator sits in the middle and gets everything else connected together. Looks like I missed the wiring location by one spot. And I will be setting the pressure regulator to 6,000 kilopascals. Now you'll notice that the oxide is giving us 90% oxygen and 10% nitrogen. So in order to use this in my suit, I am going to need a nitrogen filter as well. Otherwise the nitrogen is just going to keep building up inside my helmet and eventually suffocate me. So in order to do that, I need to go mining because I do not have any iron left. Okay, I am back from mining and I have 100 iron, 49 silicon, 45 copper, and a little bit of gold. So I need to smelt some of that iron. Adding a nitrogen filter to my suit means I can breathe the mix of oxygen and nitrogen, having the nitrogen filter to my waste tank. So now I'm set to restock my oxygen supply by crushing up oxide. The next task that I'm going to tackle is to build a solid fuel generator. That's going to allow me to use the coal that I've found to generate extra power. But first, let's reset the solar panel for morning. To get a solid fuel generator, I'm gonna need to make an electronics printer. And to set up the electronics printer, I will want to expand my industrial platform with a few extra frames. While the electronics printer is built, I am smelting some more of the metals that I brought back and making sure to keep the solar panel aligned as best as I can. I just got the air tank low warning, so it's time to swap my air tank for the one that we filled with the oxygen-nitrogen mixture. Thanks to the filter that I added for nitrogen, I can use that tank just fine. With a few extra iron frames and some iron sheets, I expand my platform so that I can place the electronics printer. Meanwhile, I crushed up some more ice, and that let me refill the tank that I took out of my suit back to 6 megapascals of oxygen-nitrogen mix. Now wait, next time I need the tank, it is ready and waiting for me. With that, the electronics printer is built, but I find myself a few iron short of being able to build the solid generator. So another mining expedition is in order, but before I do that, I am gonna go empty my waste tank and eat and drink. I want to take advantage of the carbon dioxide that I've exhaled into the tank to add some to my indoor atmosphere in preparation for growing plants in there. Fed, hydrated, and my waste tank is empty, so I will go back out. Before I head out, I will also swap my oxygen tank for the one that I filled up to 6 megapascals. The mining trip was successful, and I come back with roughly 130 iron, 80 copper, 26 gold, and a little bit of coal. Due to the tight power situation, I'm only going to smelt about 10 iron right now, and wait for morning to do more. With the large battery at only 11% and most of the other ones in the red, I don't feel confident in starting to print during the night, and I am gonna reset for morning and wait for more power before I start making the generator. Now that the battery is charging, I'm gonna start making the generator, as well as smelting more of the iron that I brought back. While the machines are working, I'm gonna do my best to keep the solar panel aligned and maximize power production. There is the generator kit. And of course, we're gonna need cables. Since I do have extra gold, I'm gonna go directly for heavy cables, even though right now we don't have the consumers to really take advantage of them. Taking a slightly longer route with my cabling, because I eventually plan to place a station battery up on this frame. Since I made extra heavy-duty cables, I'm gonna take advantage of them to replace the ones connecting the solar panel as well, and have a high power supply circuit that is ready for a battery once we create one. To make a station battery, I'm gonna need steel, and to make steel, I need a furnace. "30 iron and 10 copper, and thankfully I have all of that ready. Furnace is ready, so I'm building a couple more frames to give it a foundation. It doesn't need it, and you can build it up in the air. But I like being able to work on a solid platform. Assembling the furnace also requires some iron sheets, so I'm making a few of those. Setting my mining drill to flatten, I clear some of this lump of dirt so I can expand my platform without clipping it into the terrain. It doesn't truly matter, but, you know, aesthetics. And there we go, the furnace is built. That means I now need to get some volatile ice. While I was out, I also picked up whatever iron I could find. So now I can light the furnace. The problem is the sun came out, and trying to split ice into my hand while the sun is out is not going to work, as it will melt instantly. For that, I'm going to take advantage of the airlock. It was in the shade, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to split the ice without it melting. Yep, the shade of the airlock is working to keep the ice safe from melting. So I split up 2 oxide and 4 volatiles, which I'm going to take and put in the furnace, clicking the button to melt it, and then adding the oxide, which lights it up. So we have a nice hot furnace in which I can make my first batch of steel. The steel has to be exactly 3:1 iron to carbon. So looking at what I have, looks like I have 26 ore and 62 in bars. And yeah, you can use bars in the furnace as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 50 in a bar plus 25 ore, that makes 75, and then add 25 carbon. And make sure to grab enough carbon. And then put 25. And another 50 iron. And then I'm gonna split the carbon to take exactly 25 and add it to the furnace. That makes for 100 grams of steel that I can eject. Now we'll go directly into the electronics printer. Let's see what else we need to make the station battery. That's made by the kit battery, so 20 gold, 20 copper, 20 steel. So I'm going to take advantage of the hot furnace and smelt some of the other materials as well. The 20 gold, I already have it as a bar, so we'll put that in the machine. And the copper, I have a nugget here that I dropped in the airlock earlier. I can put the entire 50. Wait for it to process. And have an energy-free, or at least electrical energy-free smelting process. Now I can start making the battery. Meanwhile, I want to go back up to the roof, adjust my solar panel. I do have the generator now, but may as well avoid using it if I don't have to. Of course, keep my suit powered up. I can still take advantage of this furnace to smelt a few other things. For example, I will take care of this 50 silicon. Although it looks like now, yeah, the furnace cooled down too much. Everything that you put in it, if you put raw ore, it off-gases some extra gases, but also everything absorbs heat. So it's no longer hot enough for the silicon. I'm going to test whether it's still hot enough for copper. Yep, there we go. The copper did work. And I do have a stray 1 iron. Let's see if that... No, it's no longer hot enough for iron either. That is okay, we will address that next. Before I can really relight it, I'm gonna need to set up a way to evacuate the gases that are now filling the furnace. We look inside it. Oh. We put the battery in the tablet. Then look inside it. It is filled with a lot of pollutants and carbon dioxide and other gases that are left over from burning the volatiles in the oxide, as well as gases that were off-gassed from the ores that we put in. So before we can really heat it up, unless we want to spend a lot of energy reheating all these gases as well, which is very inefficient, we need to empty out the furnace. But first, let's take care of this battery. Put it as close as I can to the power cable. And to assemble the battery, I will need steel sheets. So I'm gonna eject the steel, move it over to the auto lathe, and make a few steel sheets. Without the battery is welded, connected at least to the power side, and turned on. Now, when I go adjust the solar panel, we should start to be getting some power in the battery. Without the battery is charging. Now I can add some coal to the solar generator, turn it on, and charge the battery using that coal rather efficiently. Since the sun went down, I'm going to disconnect the power connection to the APC and reroute the high power cable. Then I can supply the APC from the station battery. Looks like I had forgotten some low power cables that fried when I ran the generator. Now, everything that we're consuming passes through the large station battery, so just by keeping that charged, we're going to be able to keep everything else well supplied. And looks like I did not notice that I was running low on hydration, so my character is suffering. Let's go inside the base and have a quick drink. That is another water bottle down. Still have 3 in here, plus the emergency packs in the pod that I landed with. Since I now have the station battery to fall back on, I'm going to start using the large battery in my suit, as the APC no longer needs a large backup power. Okay, on to setting up a way to vent the furnace. For that, I'm going to use a few pipes, a cowl, and a valve. The cowl is essentially a passive vent that does not need to be supported by a frame, so we can put it at the top of a chimney stack. And a valve kit that will let me control when the furnace is venting. Okay, so on the back of the furnace we have 2 pipe connections for gases and a liquid pipe connection. For now we don't need to deal with the liquid pipe, but I am going to take the 2 gas pipe connections, pipe them together, and then set up for a chimney stack that is controlled by a valve, so I can control when it vents the furnace and when it doesn't. The one-way valve for has been changed. So now you actually have a valve on it and it acts as a one-way. Before it used to be just a one-way that you couldn't turn off. So that's a nice little change. But for this, because the atmosphere is just vacuum on the moon, we don't need anything fancy like that. So just a valve, add a bunch of pipes because there will be hot pressurized gases coming out of this, and I like to avoid getting blown away by them. Then on top of this, the pipe cowl to let the gases vent into the planetary atmosphere. If I flip the valve open, the contents of the furnace is going to empty out. As you can see, the pressure is dropping fairly rapidly. Okay, so that solves the immediate pressure for power generation. We'll want to improve on the system as we go, but for now we're not in that desperate need of power that I found myself for the last few days. So that means I need to move on to the next need that I have to tackle, and that is producing water. With the normal difficulty, I still have a fair amount of water. I believe there's 2 balls inside, and if I grab the supplies from my pod, which I should do anyway, pod itself has a pack with 4 bottles and 6 cereal bars. So I still have quite a few days of water, but I still think it's a good idea to just address the problem now, especially since I expect that soon my character will start complaining about being filthy from a few days in a suit. For now, that wraps up episode 2. If you're enjoying the series, feel free to leave me a like or a comment, let me know what you think. I appreciate any kind of feedback, and I hope to see you in the next one.